Hello there, this is Vinod Narayan. Today I want to talk about Social Dilemma, the Netflix original documentary that is talk of the town. I watched it on Friday and over Saturday and today I was thinking about it and I wanted to share some thoughts. Being a content creator, my views might be a bit biased, but I just wanted to share what I thought looking at that at the discussions that is happening on social media and also watching that documentary. So initially, it's a very thought-provoking documentary, no doubt on that. Initially, as I was watching the documentary, what I felt was that, see, most of these people who came in and they were talking about how bad things are and how algorithms and how these social media applications and their addictive functionality is impacting us, is playing with our minds, and I think that's all right. But I found it funny when the people who came to talk, all those people probably made their millions using or building these addictive functionalities, and their identity even now is they say they are the inventor or co-inventor of one of those functionality, or they've been working and shaping the way it is right now. And I think, see, would they be ready to give away all the money that they made in building something that they think is not good for the world right now? Maybe not, because that's not how people look at money. Even if you have something against the way you made all this money, you would talk about it, but you will not decide to give that all that fortune away, right? I mean, that's okay, that's how people are. Because if you look at people who want to work in a technology company, they all want to work in the next big thing. And what is the next big thing? It is not necessarily the next thing that will make our world a better place. It is the next big thing in which they can make big fortune. And that's how people who want to work in a tech company or people who want to invest in a tech company, that's what they're looking at. I don't think anyone is really looking at investing into something that is going to change the world for a better place. I'm not saying there are no cases like that, but the majority wants to make a fortune, make a quick win, invest and then cash on it. So that's how the world works. Now, coming back to what the theme of the documentary is. So as a content creator, I've always felt that what content we create really matters. And I think we have a responsibility and we have a role in what we're doing and how social media is shaping us. So I want to share a 30-day digital declutter that I did, and it just finished last Sunday. So what was the digital declutter? So when we talk about digital declutter, you think about completely abstaining from using any kind of social media. And as a content creator, it is difficult, and I spend a lot of time on social media. So there are three ways I interact on social media. One is I create content, two, I consume content, and three, I interact, converse. I have a lot of social media interactions on my social media pages. So I have probably about 500,000 people following me on various social media accounts, and that includes pictures or audio or video or any of those. Now, what I decided was that I am not going to stop creating content, but I'm going to be very thoughtful that what content I create. And I did not want to create any content that was controversial, that would instigate people, that would make people fight over something. And I thought maybe I won't do any of those content. I'll probably do content that is not controversial. Yes, there might be lesser reach for those content, but I'll do that for 30 days. Then on consumption part, I always believe there is a push technology and pull technology when it comes to content consumption. Companies want us to be part of this push technology. Like, they will decide what content you like and they will give you what content you should be consuming. And I never go through news feeds. I don't go through the news feeds trying to figure out what news is happening. Because, see, we will only find what we want if we know what we are looking for. And many times in social media, what happens is that we go there without any idea of what we are looking for. And then we click, and the algorithm kind of gives us based on what we are clicking and what we are looking. And that kind of controls what we consume and what we read and what we get out of social media. But why do we read books? You read books because when you read a book, it is not just the paragraph or the language. It is also an imaginary world. It's also a whole creative thing that happens in your mind, right? So that experience is something that we completely miss out on social media. In social media, if you really don't know what you're going there to do or what you're going there looking for, you are at the mercy of what the algorithm puts in front of you. Even by knowing this, you will still be part of this whole ruckus of clicking on something that you're curious about it, you click on it, and then you get all this content that comes to you. Yes, that will happen. But even then, you at least know that this is what I'm looking for and this is what I'm going to find. And then you would probably find it among a lot of other trash, obviously. So I think as social media users, if you're a content creator, obviously you have a responsibility and a role to play in the kind of content you create. And as a consumer of content, I think we all should be in control of what we consume and be part of the pull technology and not the push technology, not be slave to the push technology. And then the third one is interaction. So I decided that I won't do any reply to any comments. I will even try not to read the comments because I spend a lot of time reading and replying to comments. So first week went through, I did not read through content and it was all fine. And I said, okay, right, maybe I will start reading. And I started reading some of the comments. And then I thought maybe one or two comments I will go ahead and reply. And I started replying. Reply, and then before I know, 15 minutes are gone. And psychologically, most of the time you end up replying to comment that is in some way trying to instigate you, or something that is controversial, someone who is putting an opinion over there on your content, you feel there is a reason to defend, and that's what rut you get into. And while your primary responsibility, your primary goal is to create good content, you end up becoming not even a consumer, you're becoming this guy fighting over something that has no value. And that takes all your time. So in this 30 days, what I found out was that as content creators, we have a big responsibility on what content we put out over there. And even if we don't interact with anyone, even if we don't consume any content and we just put a content out there, the result of that, what happens after that, for a lot of people, they have unlimited bandwidth, they have a lot of time in hand. And there are people, I would call them rogue agents in social media, who are paid for making these controversial conversations, making fights, polluting that an ongoing clear conversation, polluting that and kind of creating this whole ruckus between people. And that's what they probably get paid for. And while doing that, they play with your mind, they make you uncomfortable, they make you psychologically unhappy and all those kind of stuff. So I think the first point as content creator, yes, there is a responsibility. What content you put out there has a responsibility. And I always thought there is a responsibility, but what happens is that, see, when you create a content and that touches upon a controversial issue, that touches upon an issue that is maybe political, religious, any of those issues, and sometimes you have to talk about these. And there's a lot of people jumping and fighting over it. And then you create a content which you think is really going to add value to people who watch it or who consume it. And then these platforms start notifying you saying that, you know what, the content that you made now is not working as your earlier content, and you know why. Because the earlier content was controversial. The content that I created now was something that I thought is of value to individuals, people who consume. So what does the platform really want? To create content that adds value, or content that initiates conversation, but not even positive conversation. See, content that initiates conversations, even negative conversations, and negative conversations come up more on the feed, get shared more, get liked more, because there are two ways people look at content. One is they want content to reinforce their own prejudices, or they want content that they can fight tooth nail. They want to fight and they want to win, and they want to make sure this guy doesn't put content like that. So these are two kind of people who are going to make content viral. These are the people who will make content stick. And many times none of the videos or content that I created thinking this is going to help people. I mean, people like always content that is controversial. And I think when I saw Social Dilemma, I think the question that came to me was, as a content creator, what is my responsibility? As a content consumer, as a social media person who interacts on social media, how do I... And this happens even when we talk about our kids. Can you completely take them away from social media? I could see some of the people in the documentary come out and say that, no, we don't allow our kids to use social media. But see, there are a lot of places across the world, a lot of people, and especially at a time like COVID when we are staying at home, social media does help a lot of people. Maybe the harm is more. I agree. Maybe the harm is more, but there are also some positive aspects on social media that we could probably use. See, how do we tell our kids that this is the way you should use social media? This is the way you should be pulling the technology that you want or the information that you want. You shouldn't be just asking the algorithm, asking the platform to tell you what I should watch next, what I should read next. You should maybe read books and then figure out, and maybe you would sit alone, think, make your own idea of the world around you, and then say, okay, let's see what's happening, and then go and get it from social media. See, even newsmakers, newspapers, media outlets, what do? They take the information on social media and create a news in their regular media. So I think we need this is a worthy conversation, because it is not just about companies trying to get our data and sell us things. It's also how we interact in the society, how we look at each other, how our prejudices are built, how our political thinking is shaped, how we are becoming culturally incapable of understanding one another. I think that's what the problem is. And there's a big, huge role content creators can play. And it's interesting that I watched Social Dilemma after my 30 days of digital declutter. And that has changed the way I'm now looking at the content that I should be creating. And I'm happy for that. So let's have the conversation. There is a social dilemma, but it's not all negative. I think we have a positive way of getting out. Everyone individually, if you think what is the best way we can use it for benefiting us and others, then I think individually as a family, as a group, we would be able to find something or the other, some way to make it not look so bleak. You take care, be content, be pen positive. Thank you.